Hey guys, Coach Adam from TeamElitePhysique.com talking to you today. And today we got a good one for you. We are just days away from the Olympia. Days away. It's all coming to an end now. And some things happened this weekend at the Battle of Texas that blew a lot of people's minds. And we're going to jump right into it. So it was quite the shocker this weekend when we saw the Battle of Texas. So what happened exactly at the Battle of Texas? So the placings went as follows. Anya Nicholson in 5th place. Congratulations, Anya. Team Elite Physique coach, of course. Octavia in 4th place. Jessica in 3rd. Daraja in 2nd. And Phoebe in 1st place. So not only was Phoebe in 1st place, but Phoebe was in 1st place with a perfect score, both in judging and in finals. So it was rare that they actually rejudge a show as well, and they judged it exactly the same in the morning as they did at night. Both judging and finals were 3 points. Daraja had a perfect 2nd place with 6 points, and it went perfect all the way down. 9 for 3rd place, 12 for 4, and 15 for Anya for 5th place. So, not a surprise there. The 4 Olympians finished 1 through 4, Anya taking the 5th place spot there. Let's go ahead and look at the show and look at how this actually happened. How is it that Phoebe was able to take the win over Daraja this time? And does Daraja have enough time to make up for that momentum that she might have lost going into the show just 6 days prior to the Olympia? So let's go ahead and look at what we're going to be seeing here in just a few days at the Olympia. Now, as I did in my earlier prediction video, I had this being a real close toss-up between the two. I did have Phoebe edging out Daraja, and everyone thought I was crazy in the comments. People said, I'm being biased, and people are messaging me saying, oh, you're being biased. Daraja's number 6 in the world. How can Phoebe beat her? She's your athlete, so that's why you're saying that. And I said, no, I've seen what Phoebe's looking like lately. I've seen what Daraja's looking like lately. I don't see a way that Daraja beats Phoebe. I thought, maybe at the end she'll come together, and it's possible, especially being number 6 in the world, that she could potentially beat Phoebe, even in Phoebe looking in the crazy shape that she's been in. But when we got to the show, this looked like it was game over. So let's go ahead and go into that front pose first and take a look at everything. So when we're looking at shoulder to waist ratios, honestly, both of them have great shoulder to waist ratios. Neither of them really need improvements on their shoulders to their waist ratio. When you look at the glutes from the front, really round, bubbly glutes from Daraja, round, brown, bubbly glutes from Phoebe as well. The legs on Daraja are a little bit thicker right now. I will say that. The legs are looking a little bit thicker, and not necessarily just with muscle, but also I think she needs to get a little bit tighter. I think that really this came down to her just needing to be a little bit tighter in the core, tighter in the legs, and just bringing down her overall size so she can have better balance. So bringing down her legs in body fat so she can have better balance from upper to lower body. It does look like she's holding a little bit more body fat in her lower body than her upper body, and it doesn't look like a lot of body fat, but it's enough body fat to throw off the balance from upper to lower body. Remember, bikini, you have to be balanced from upper to lower body, from front to back, from muscle to muscle. So from bicep to tricep, from hamstring to quad, like everything needs to be balanced. And when you look at Daraja here, she looks just a little bit quad heavy, but I know that she's not quad heavy. She's not. It's just that she's still holding a little bit of body fat. She's lean enough where it doesn't look like it's just pure fat. It's just a good amount of muscle with a little bit too much body fat. And right now, when we're looking at the window of her coming into the Olympia, she has 6 days to lose this body fat and still peak in her best condition of the year. I don't think it's enough time. When we look at her leg here, we look at the overall quad, we look at the core, it's just not tight enough for the Olympia level standard. So hopefully in the next 6 days, she can make an improvement, but I don't think there's enough time to make that big of an improvement in the body fat and bringing it in. And if you look at the waistline, just looking at the detail of the two of them, you could see it as a comparison. You could see who is a lot closer in terms of their overall core to that Olympia level conditioning. And, this conditioning here might win at a smaller show where there's not as many people when you have a big name and a beautiful structure. But when you're going against the best in the world, it's going to be really, really tough. So this is close to the shape she's going to be in at the Olympia. It's only 6 days away. There's not a lot of time you can do in between that. I don't know what your thought process would be. You can't do tons of cardio and try to diet down crazy hard for 3 days and hope that inflammation goes away come showtime. And so you're kind of running out of options here. So I don't see there being enough time where at the Olympia where she actually takes out Phoebe at this point, especially with the precedent being set just 6 days earlier of Phoebe beating Daraja. Now, it doesn't mean that either of them will be in the top 10, but I still think no matter how they place, let's say they placed 12th and 13th, I think Phoebe would still edge her out and be in that 12th place, and Daraja is going to be one placing under Phoebe, wherever that is, maybe a couple. So that was the front pose, but I think what's important to look at is the back pose, and this is really where the game changer was, and I think that really solidified the perfect scoring for Phoebe, because when you get to the backside, it's where I started with the front side. When you get to the backside, it's a clear knock out of the park. Even an untrained eye can see that this is a game over in this scenario. So let's go ahead and take a look at the backside. So looking at Phoebe from the backside, let's look at a couple key factors here. A couple key factors with the overall look. So when we're looking at the shoulder ratio, right, the shoulder to waist ratio, they both have really great shoulder to waist ratios. Structurally, these two are, some of the best in the world, and we already know that. And this video obviously is just not taking anything away from Daraja's beautiful structure. I just think that she's a little bit off right now, and I don't think there's that much time to catch up for the Olympia. And I think that if she makes these small corrections next year, she'll be right back in that top 6 or even higher placings of next year, because her structure is just so awesome. So don't want to take away from that. Still one of the best in the world, and still could surprise us come Olympia time. Depending on, how she comes in 6 days from now. Maybe she can pull this together in 6 days. I don't know. But let's go ahead and look at the backside as of Saturday. So as of last Saturday, when we look at her backside, you could see shoulder to waist ratio, both really, really good on the shoulder to waist ratio. There's not a whole lot of improvement either of them would need. If you look at just the upper body, if you're going to edge anyone out, you're going to edge out Phoebe just a little bit. She's got a little bit better of a V taper on her back to waist ratio. You can see here, Phoebe's got a little bit better of a V taper, a little bit better shoulder width, nothing crazy. And honestly, the shoulder width can be either one. The shoulder width's about the same. Phoebe will just slightly win. And you look at the lower back in terms of the conditioning, Phoebe is lean. She is very, very lean in the back. Daraja still has a little bit of body fat to lose on that lower back. To be, at the Olympia level bikini lean. Remember, that's a whole different thing. So now when we get to the glutes, that's really where things change. So let's start from top to bottom and work our way down from the glutes. So now when we already talked about the lower back, but let's look at the glutes to waist ratio. Both of them really, really good glutes to waist ratio. I mean, crazy glutes to waist ratio. Phoebe definitely has her beat there with a little bit smaller of a waist, and I honestly do think it's because of the conditioning. When you look at Daraja, there's just a little bit of lower body fat back here on her lower back. Phoebe, you're seeing the lower back fully defined. You're seeing the full definition in this area. We are not seeing it with Daraja. Okay, so that's gonna be a contributing factor for that waistline being smaller. I do think that Daraja is also a little bit wider in the waistline than Phoebe naturally, and that's another reason for it. Now, if you look at the glute to waist ratio and just purely on glute size, Daraja is actually a little bit wider in the glutes than Phoebe. Okay, but is a contributing factor there being body fat as well as hip width? I do think that is part of it. I think that the body fat's a little bit higher. And if you look down at the suit, so here's the thing, we talk about the importance of suit cuts. Okay, suit cuts are absolutely critical in pro bikini. So when we talk about the suit cut, look at this suit here. And this is a suit that I've personally worked with angels on getting the right amount of fabric in going down the middle of the suit. And that's an important factor, because when you look at someone from the back, you want to be able to see that suit. When you have a suit that comes in super tight like this to a very small piece of fabric, you better be in very good conditioning to be wearing this type of cut in your suit. Because what's going to happen is the body fat that's still there is going to kind of go around the suit, and it's going to make you look a lot less conditioned than you actually are. So when you're in really good shape, this suit cut is going to probably work just fine. When you're not in perfect shape, the body fat's going to kind of seep around the edges of the suit, and that's why I'll generally always recommend this type of suit cut. Angels does a great job on it. We've actually gone through and measured it, so when they're doing a cut for me, they know exactly the suit that I want in terms of the cut measurement in the middle of the fabric, because I don't want this to happen. So that's one of the things that's going to be a dead giveaway to the judges is, okay, is the suit the body fat going around the suit because there's not enough material there where you can really see the fabric? And I think that that's an issue of, one, just body fat, but also the suit cut itself. I don't think it's helping her in this situation. So that is one thing that she can change. And this suit cut is just, you see how it accents the glutes really well. It goes right around the glutes, so you can see the roundness of the glutes. It doesn't cut through the glutes. This suit does too at the top. It just hurts down at the middle here. So anyway, when we look at that from the back, obviously the conditioning is a pretty big difference in the overall glutes, especially in this key area here, which is the last area for the body fat to leave. This is always going to be the trouble area for most bikini competitors. Most women store body fat on their legs and glutes, and this is generally the last area. And when the judges turn you around and they're looking at conditioning, that's right where they're going to look to see, okay, is the body fat going around the suit? Is she fully conditioned? We'll find out right now when we turn them around and also when they walk. And so that's really, I think, where the lights out went out on this one. And we said basically, okay, Phoebe wins with a perfect score. We can't deny it. They turned him around a few times, even did a callback to make sure. They did a finals judging on top of it to make sure. And they really went through it and went through to making sure this was the right decision, because they were essentially taking a sixth place in the world Olympian, Daraja, and having Phoebe a rookie year, saying, are we going to give her the win over this? And I think after doing the initial call out, the confirmation round of that initial call, they did a call back on that first in judging. Then they did a finals judging. It just showed, perfect score still all the way through, maintained that perfect score, and it gave her a lot of momentum going into the Olympia. So my prediction on that one was right. I still think getting the top 10 is not going to be right. I don't think anyone's going to be able to get that top 10. If you do, that's pretty crazy. But what I will say is, if you haven't voted yet, the top 10 for your top 10, I would probably put Daraja one placing under Phoebe. That's one that I might have gotten right. But on being absolutely real, I really like Daraja. I think that she's an awesome competitor, and I hope that she actually does an improved package. I would love to see her finish in the top 5 this year at the Olympia, but she's going to have to bring a tighter package to the Olympia. There's just no way that this is going to work at that level of competition, or she will not be seeing herself in the top 10 this year. And with someone with such an amazing physique like her, that would be tragic, because she has a real opportunity to not just be 6th again this year, but to climb into that top 5, which is what we all thought was going to happen this year. So anyway, it's a really exciting week. Who do you guys got winning the Olympia? Throw it in the comments below. Like and subscribe for the algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you next time.